For every construction we do with a compass and straight edge, we need to be able to do the same in Geometers Sketchpad. However, often it works quite a bit differently. For example, if we want to bisect a segment in Geometers Sketchpad, it's quite easy. So we'll start by making a segment. I'll happen to make a horizontal segment here, and I'll get it as flat as I can. And you'll notice that as soon as I've constructed it, it remains selected, which I want. So I'm going to go ahead and change back to the selection arrow, to the arrow tool. And while this segment is still selected, I'm going to the construct menu and I'm simply going to choose select midpoint. And that's all there is to bisecting or finding the bisector of a segment. Now, once the segment is bisected, there are some other things you can do with it. For example, we also know how to construct the perpendicular bisector using a compass and straight edge. We can do the same thing in Sketchpad. We need to have the point selected, the point that bisects the segment, as well as the segment itself, and then return to the construct menu and select perpendicular line, and we now have the perpendicular bisector. It's a line, which means that it goes off the edge of the page in Sketchpad. And if I need to have a segment of a particular length, what I'll need to do is put a point on either side of the original segment to define the endpoints of whatever segment I want. And if I select both of those endpoints, I can go to the construct menu and say construct segment. And what that does is it leaves the underlying line. My settings have it changed to a dashed line, and I can hide that now. If I delete it, everything that depends on it will go away, but what I can do is hide the line, and I can do that either by using the display menu command, hide perpendicular line. I prefer to use the keyboard shortcut Control H, but either way, what ends up happening is that line is still there. It has not been deleted. We can't delete it because this segment depends on it, and the segment that we're interested in shows. So I have this line segment that I originally constructed, its midpoint, and also a perpendicular bisector segment. If I wanted to show that line again, I would go to the display menu and say show all hidden, and there that line is back. And just so you can see what happens if I delete that line, if I go ahead and hit the delete on the keyboard, then everything depending on that line is also deleted. So I would not want to do that. I'd simply want to hide I would simply want to hide the line upon which my segment is based. So Control H, hide.